Irie friends, welcome back to the channel. So we had a freeze. It's like a lot going on. The birds are really out right now, but we had a freeze yesterday. It actually went down to about 27 in the night. I ran out here and I took some of my plants inside because I was nervous, and then I brought out the greenhouse to help protect all the other ones. But you could tell the plants are pretty stressed at this point. They are in dire need of being up potted or planted out, and I definitely don't want to up pot, so I really need to go ahead and plant out the plants. I have 7 Greenstalks, and I think the ground out here still needs to be thawed from the freeze, so we're going to be doing a Greenstalk plant up today. My original plan was to plant the strawberries in the leaf planter because, you know, you get more pockets. But after growing strawberries for a bit, I realized that strawberries actually have a really intense and deep root system, and I think they will thrive better in the original planter. So I'm going to get the planter set up. I'm going to be using a mix of the Vigaro potting mix as well as the Coast of Maine potting mix, and then I'm going to add some fertilizer within the Greenstalks. The previous years that I've been using the Greenstalks, I've been topping it up with some black cow, and I realize what happens when I pot it up with some black cow is that if I don't add some type of aeration like perlite, for example, it becomes really dense in my planter, and then it just becomes a breeding ground for gnats and like all those things. So if you are using something that doesn't have some type of aeration in it, like a nice potting mix, I would recommend going ahead and adding some perlite as well as some vermiculite to that before you go ahead and put it in your planter. These are my Greenstalks, the green ones. As you can see, they have some strawberry plants already in them. They're pretty full in terms of soil, but I am missing some planter tiers from this one, and then this one has some strawberries that's actually coming up. So what I'm gonna do is just transplant this. I'm gonna put the strawberry just maybe under a tree, not under a tree, but like in front of a tree as some type of ground cover. Let me show you how the greens are looking. So we're gonna plant up. We have some lettuce here. We have the butterhead, we have the merlot, we have the Paris Island, sweet Valentine, and then we have some spinach. Also in here, we have the Asian greens, so pink lady, snow white bok choy, tatsoi. So we might do a little mix, and then I'm going to be putting some celery at the bottom of each, as well as some kale. We didn't have much survival for our kale, but the Russian red, the blue curl, and the dinosaur did survive. You don't need a lot of kale, so that's quite all right. And then we have some herbs that we need to fill for this herb container. We have some herbs here. And we have some collards, some nice herbs as well. The basil completely died because I didn't do anything with it, but I replanted them inside, and I'm gonna be replanting more, so that's quite all right. And let's see what else we have to plant out. These are flowers. I think that's pretty much it as far as that. So I had this garden tone in my shed for about 4 years now. I definitely did not remember that I had her, but we are going to be using this today. Probably should have tried to open it much better than this. It wasn't too bad. Alright, so usually the leaf planter is 7 tiers, and the pockets, as you could see from the original, is a little bit smaller. So these leaf planters work really well for anything that you're planting that don't have like a really extensive root system. So the leafy greens is going to be perfect for these. These strawberries don't look like they are coming up. I'm just going to pull them out, try not to make a lot of mess. I'm not certain of which variety is in here. Some of these have more life in it. You could see the green coming up here. So I'm gonna make sure I replant that. And I just like to take off each level, and we're going to work on one level at a time, both for planting it up, but also for refreshing the soil. I don't dump out my soil in my Greenstalk and put all brand new soil. I just give it new life, I guess, so that I could reuse it, because if I was to go that route of putting new potting mix every year, this would be quite an expense. So sometimes I dump it all into a tote and I'll do like a whole mix. And then sometimes if the soil looks really good, I will just sprinkle additional potting soil on top if it needs to, you know, rise back up to that level. And then I'll add some granular fertilizer, and that usually does the trick. I want to bring you close to these two different soils right now, and obviously one is more moist and the other one is more dry, which is fine, but you could see this one, it doesn't have these large chunks of wood barks and all that stuff in there. This looks like it's well sifted, nothing that could constrict the root growth or anything. So what I'm gonna do is take the soil completely out of this, and I'm gonna put it in one of my totes. I'm not going to dump it. I'm just going to take time to sift it out and do like a really good replenishment for that, and then I'll use it maybe for another tier. But for right now, since we don't have the time, I'm just going to dump it out and then go ahead and use either the Coast of Maine or the Vagaro. Gonna put that to the side for now, and this would actually be a good time to add one of the new base that I bought for it. And these just snap right in. And then here is the locks. I think there's 3 of them. probably be good if I add a lock over some other side. Okay, and that's that. Then we have the tube. Some Vigoro. And I'm gonna add some additional perlite. Vigoro can be a little bit more dense than Coast of Neem, so that's something I like to add. To mix that in. The main problems that I have with the Greenstalk is you just want to make sure that it is leveled. If it's not leveled, then that whole system of watering it does not work as it should. And then you want to be careful with what you put inside. If your potting soil is too dense, you'll have some issue with drainage and your soil just being really compacted. So those are just a couple things that you just want to be mindful about when it comes to your planters. And you'll see the difference a bit. You could see the specks of perlite in it, that white. This first tier, I want to put things that get a little bit taller. So that's going to be my celery and my collards. Let me grab those. I'm going to go with the pink. And you could see this is pretty root bound. They should not have been in this container for this long. So we have 6 pockets. We have 4 of these pink celeries. So we're going to leave 2 pockets open to maybe add some snapdragon, something that adds some color. So we're going to, I think we could do maybe, actually let's just do 1 in each for now. One actually needs 1 more. Let's do 2 in 1 and see how it grows. That way, maybe for next year, we can decide which one works better. Now we put this gray insert in, and you just want to make sure that it's clear of debris. Normally I'll wash it out. Maybe I'll wash it out. 1 second. Washed it out in my rain bucket. But you want to make sure that this is clear of any debris, because this is where the water from the top trickles down and water each of the planting spaces. And I like to just give it some space here around the mounting. So I'll remove some of that soil so that it could sit nicely in that middle portion. Make sure each hole is directed to the different planting space. And I just have her nestled right in there. All right, let's add the next tier. Oh, these are so heavy. All right, you just want to make sure the plants are clear. All right, good. This one, I'm just going to add some granular. And I'm adding a little bit more to this because it's not really getting that new potting mix. The potting mix can nourish your plants for approximately 9 months. And since these have been working this summer and then sitting over the winter, I'm sure a lot of the nutrients has already passed through the soil. A little bit of the potting mix, but not too much. Just doing little handfuls just to fill up the space. And normally I like to put the fertilizer a little bit in there. That way the roots, sensing that nourishment, could go deeper. But it's not a big deal. Just putting it right on top. And I'm just creating a little divot in there. All right, so that is ready, and we're going to put some kale and collards down here. I don't think I'm gonna leave any space for flowers. This is the Georgia collards, and I have 2 in each of these cells. And if you look at the bottom, the roots are coming out at the bottom. Oh my gosh, I haven't been a good plant mom. Let's do 4 collards, and then we'll do 2 of the Russian kale, because then you'll get the green and the purple together, which will be really pretty. I'm interested to see how big the collards are able to get in the Greenstalk. But I think that'll look really pretty. Why do I keep thinking that I have 4 spaces? All right. You know what? I'm just gonna put all the collards in there because they really need to get out. I really love using the Greenstalks for all these leafy greens because anytime I try to put them in ground, they just get immediately eaten up by either birds or just some pests. So these have been really helpful. I don't get as much pest pressure as I do when I place them in ground. So I especially love the planters for that. So put that there, and we're just going to keep stacking them, and maybe at the end I'll give you guys an overview of how I decided to plant up everything, because sometimes as I'm planting I get all over the place and I change my mind all the time. So let me just get into it and do a tour at the end. Look at the roots for this strawberry. It's completely just at the bottom. there's no way that just this 7-inch really allows these strawberries to spread out as they want to. No way. Let's deal with this another time. This is the last piece that we put on. You just want to make sure in here is a little bit dug out in the middle so you could put this on. But it seemed like this expanded. Now I'm trying to fit it and keeps kind of snapping off. So leave it as that. This looks good. So I'm going to now water it. The hose was disconnected because of the upcoming frost. So I'm going to use my container of rainwater. Add that up here. And you fill it up to the line that they have in this portion. Let me bring you guys in and show you what I ended up planting for this planter. This is how it's looking. Everything is pretty much planted up. I am gonna come back in and just wash off these portions here. But if we start at the top, we have some chard here. We have the Ford Hook chard, and then we have the ruby red variety. And I heard chard doesn't taste that good, so I didn't want to give it too much space. So I have 2 more planting area here that I'll be putting some flowers here as well. And then we have the butterhead lettuce, as well as some dinosaur kale. We have the giganti spinach, butterhead, and then we have some blue curled kale. Down here we have the red Russian, and it's just interplanted with the butterhead lettuce. On this row we have the Merlot lettuce interplanted with, I believe this one is the Catalina spinach. Same thing down here kind of, but we have the Russian kale. and then the Catalina spinach here as well. Then we have the Georgia collard and the Chinese pink celery. So I have 2 spaces, or I believe 2 or 3 spaces at the bottom, and then I have a couple spaces in this row here, and then some space in this row here. So we'll be popping in flowers interchangeably for this planter. So that was not too bad. It took me about an hour to do all of this. Part of that is because I was trying to record as well, but I really enjoy using these planters. It just frees up so much space for me. Like I say, I have a big issue whenever I try to plant leafy greens in ground, so these allow me to get a harvest without having to worry too much about that pest pressure. Greenstalk does offer a insect netting as well as a frost cover, so if it did start coming over here, then I'll probably purchase a insect netting, or make something to cover this up. I feel like this is an easier thing to cover up than what I have to do in ground. These should be good in partial shade, and now that it has the wheels, I'll probably put in an area where it gets a mix of both. I don't want it to get too much sun out of fear of sometimes when the temperature gets really high in the spring, your plants, leafy greens and stuff will start bolting. So I want to avoid that. So I'm going to keep it kind of in partial shade, and that should work really well for this. But I will show you guys what it looks like after I add some flowers in these. I'll probably purchase them at the store, to be honest with you guys, because I really want the color right now. But that is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Let me know if you have a Greenstalk planter and what you're planning to put in, and what you're planning to put in it for this growing season. I hope you guys are having a wonderful spring, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.